Hello, good evening everybody. How are you doing? It's Emma here from Green Door Grooves. I just wanted to do a short reading for the next couple of days. So we've got Independence Day, we've got the full moon eclipse, or early Sunday morning here in the UK anyway, and it's the final eclipse of this season. It's the end of the Cancer Capricorn cycle, which started in July 2018, so 2 years ago. So it may be useful for you to think about what's happened in this last 2 years, and if there was one theme that has gone through, what is it? And it may be that now is the time for that to really be let go of, and you could really surrender. It may be that this is, the door is closing in order for something else to happen now from that period. So just have a think back. What is it? What happened in these last 2 years, or what are the major themes? And Cancer is to do with the home and home life often. It's a very sensitive sign. It's a water sign. And Capricorn is often thought of as being work and structure, format, establishment, that sort of thing. So that might give you a few things to have a think about or go on. As I say, I just want to do a quick one really, just a few cards. So just ask cards over the next couple of days. As I say, it's Independence Day. It's also in the in this country, we've got the easing of a couple of the restrictions in terms of pubs are going to be open, and some restaurants. So that's going to be interesting. In terms of weather, it's going to be blowing a bit of a gale. I think there is definitely, I have sensed over the last couple of weeks, fairly volatile energy, and Mars has been quite active. It's at home in the sign of Aries, so there's a lot of energy, and that energy I've noticed is spiking. So you may have been experiencing spikes of energy, strong energy, but then equally you may have been really hitting the floor and feeling absolutely exhausted, barely able to move. So there's definitely been a peak and trough energy, stop-start energy around. There's been a fair bit of volatility, a fair bit of tempers flaring, irritability, frustration. Some of the children I know have really been going through it in terms of just feeling so, I don't know, emotional, upset and fraught. And I feel that it's, for those of us who are parents, I really feel that we've got, at this time, we've got to protect our children and be really patient with them and look after them. It's such a strange world at the moment still, and particularly for them, I think, going out, and seeing sort of strange things like people, with gloves and masks and all of that stuff. It's a very unnatural environment for them. So yeah, I'm definitely noticing and feeling this spikiness, and I feel that probably for the next couple of days, it may, come to a bit of a head, maybe until the 7th or 8th, but I'm hopeful that then it will just calm a little bit. So the moon will be, of course, on the wane, and we'll start to move into a more reflective time. However, I do think that this summer is largely a cleansing time. I do feel it's like bringing up a lot of stuff from the shadows, lots of things that have been hidden from view previously coming up, almost whether you like it or not, whether you're doing the work or not, is just coming up now. That's what's supposed to happen. We are all the time evolving as human beings, and I think whether or not you are somebody who consciously looks at that sort of stuff, i.e. somebody who's interested in maybe some spiritual practices, or whether you're not really and you just go about your day, I think everybody to an extent is getting a jolt. It's been an extremely strange situation, and I think just that in and of itself is stirring people up, and it's making a lot of people very anxious and not feeling themselves. So we do have to demonstrate a lot of care and compassion, particularly I think those of us who are maybe seeing a bit more of the bigger picture. I sort of feel that we need to hold out our hands to people and guide them a little bit if they're really struggling. So let's have a look. Oh yeah, there we are. And there is that struggle played out straight away. So the 5 of Wands, it's it's a card of a kind of creative struggle. Often a struggle, it's almost like infighting amongst ourselves about ideas and my way's better, your way's better. And actually I think that's something we've got to be really careful of at the moment. I think because we've all got slightly different angles where we come back into society. So what I mean by that is that some people will be very much I'm listening to the news regularly, the mainstream regularly, and I am following the direction to the letter in terms of the rules and the masks and all of that. So some people will be doing that. Other people are kind of like, no, I'm sorry, I don't really buy it. I don't really I don't really believe a lot of what the mainstream's telling me. I'm looking elsewhere for my news and my information. So if you've got the two extremes there, and then you've got lots and lots of shades in between. Some people are like, I'll wear my mask a bit when I have to, and other people, so there's lots of shades. But if you have those two perspectives, then it's very easy to cast judgment both ways. The person who's wearing the mask is saying the other person is not caring, that they're putting everyone else at risk, that we're all going to get the virus. And then the other person's kind of saying, no, you're being ridiculous, you're living in fear, don't you know that the mask is actually more dangerous to wear a mask because you're actually restricting your own oxygen, and if you're wearing a mask that's got bits of plastic in it, you're inhaling toxicity after a period of time. So all this. So we have to be really careful at the moment about judgment, don't we? Really, really careful, because ultimately, when you come from the yogic perspective, I say yogic perspective, but it is not just the yogic perspective by any means. It's just that's my background. But lots of people may not practice yoga but have this perspective. When you come from a unity consciousness philosophy or idea, in the end we don't want any we don't want this conflict, and we don't want this division, and we don't want this separation, because as we've said before, at the end we are all people. We all have very similar thoughts. We all have the same kind of bodies. We all feel pain. We all feel love. We all dance. We all sing. We have different flavors and we have our preferences. But ultimately, we're all one, and we come from the same source. And, we are little sparks of this source. So to be divided is not to really embody that divinity that we all are. And plus, it causes us stress. So as soon as we go into division and conflict with one another, we go into a stress mode, and of course that will depend on the situation, but a level of stress, and then out come the hormones, pump cortisol, which stays in your body for hours and hours and hours, and as soon as your stress hormones are starting to really be pumped into the system, we don't really listen to anyone else's perspective. We can't, because we're in fight or flight, so we're protecting ourselves. So we're actually unable to have any sort of balanced, reasonable discussion because we feel that we're being attacked. So both parties, levels raised, we both think we're being attacked. And when you're feeling you're being attacked, it's either you fight or you run, you retreat or you freeze. But there's a reaction. And the problem, because this cortisol stays in the body for hours and hours and hours, is weakening our immune system. Now, in the end, we want to remain healthy. Whether there's a virus or whether there isn't a virus, we want to remain healthy because there are lots of illnesses in the world, there are diseases, there's all sorts of things that can, come to us. So we want to remain healthy, and particularly at this time, we need to remain level in our thinking. And it is extremely easy to kind of get inflamed by things that we feel that someone else is doing that we don't think they should. And it's very easy to get hooked on the news, for instance. So some people are hooked on mainstream news and they have to have it on all the time. Other people are hooked on alternative media and, end up down the rabbit hole, and that can be quite damaging because it's a sort of form of addiction. I want to know this, I want to know this leads this. And suddenly you've got all this information. Much of it is quite challenging, emotional, difficult. So equally, you will go into stress there. So there's stress being played out if you listen to the mainstream news too much because you're starting to feel fearful, and I can't do this, that and the other, and we're allowed to go out, but actually I don't want to go out now because it's going to be no fun. I can't stand close to someone, and blah blah blah. But equally, those of us, and I include myself, who delves a lot into alternative media, you can get bogged down by that, and your vibration can really drop a lot, really drop. So we have to find ways at the moment of keeping ourselves sane, sound, and stable. Yeah, we really do. And we really, really just need to be as level as we can and be as willing to just listen to someone's opinion. And it's very difficult to change another person's opinion anyway. You can give them, well, what about looking at this? What about listening to that? But it's very difficult to, change their opinion, particularly if you're shouting at them. I'll say, I'm right and you're wrong. It doesn't really work. So, this is interesting because I saw this at the bottom of the pack earlier, and it's come up again. So this is the Six of Swords. So this is a journey. It's it's plain sailing to a degree. It's movement, and it's quite gentle and quite harmonious. We've got all our ideas and our thoughts and our beliefs. So perhaps sort of continuing on from what we were just talking about there, we are able to move forward with these ideas and thoughts and opinions, and we can do it in a gentle way, and we can take them with us. We can offer them to others, but we can do it gently, carefully, and harmoniously, actually. So just because you disagree with what I'm saying, it doesn't mean to say that you dislike me. And I think that's where a lot of us get a little bit scared sometimes to voice our opinions, to say what we really believe, because we're frightened of not being liked. But actually, if you're a liked person, then people tend to just respect, you've got a different opinion to me. Queen of Swords, yeah, and this is, this is the queen of her ideas. She owns her opinions. She can be a little cool with them, but actually at the moment, this could be a very good role model or archetype for us to be working with, because she's very in control of her emotions and she is careful with her words and she is sharp and logical, and she's probably got a lot of facts ready to give. You may well know someone like her, and she may well be a Libra or a Gemini or possibly an Aquarius. Oh, that's nice. So we have the star coming up, that's hope. And, you know, the water jugs, so this sort of flow, the equal flow of emotion, feeling, something lovely is on the horizon, hope. And that's really good to tune into at the moment, because it is quite easy to get weighed down and heavy with a lot of the stuff that's going on. So that's really nice. We'll take that. We'll have that, Queen. Let's have a look at another one. Oh, and the Ace of Wands. So the beginnings of, you know, a big whoosh, a big uprising of creativity, of energy, of forward movement. It may be undifferentiated and it may play into this Mars energy, but that's looking quite good, actually, quite positive to me. And oh, we've got the 9 of Cups, and this is about love and feeling and emotion, but it's a kind of self-sufficiency and self-love and a being proud of yourself because you've achieved, I suppose, really a state of self-belief and self-love. So I'm just going to draw one more of these cards because we need to bring it in together again. The Fool is the last card there. So we end where we begin with the Fool, the Fool's journey. The Fool is about to jump off a cliff here, and well, he's not about to jump, he's just walking without looking. So it might be that the cliff actually isn't a cliff and there's something underneath it and he's not going to fall at all. Or it might be that he's going to crash to his death. He's not looking. So the Fool has an energy of youth, of being maybe a little bit naive. He's quite flamboyant. He's off on an adventure. You know, he's got this whole world ahead of him. He's got his whole life ahead of him. So I wonder, I mean, in some ways, these next few days, to some people, and perhaps some of you guys watching this, perhaps Saturday is marking sort of the end of a period and the beginning of a new period, and that we are optimistic about this period, you know, that, you know, we managed to get through this part, we've got an adventure, you know, starting again, we've got a lot of energy and hope. So that's really nice, and I do feel that we need to be. I do feel like it's useful for us to be connecting with the optimism and the hope and the moving forward. I just think I'm going to pull an animal to see what they might say about all this. Yeah, that's really nice to see that. That's really nice to see that. Those good cards, and every card has a sort of positive and negative in it. But I think particularly as this has been quite a whipped up couple of weeks, and I do feel in my own waters that there may be something afoot, something happening. There may be something a bit explosive. I do feel that, but these cards are certainly indicating that even if something like that was to occur, if there was something that was a bit out of the ordinary, that actually the future is good, you know, it's good. Let's have a look. Spider, receptivity, a remarkable figure of feminine energy and creativity. The spider is the master of intricate weaving and patience, and your affinity with this spirit animal means you too may possess qualities of high receptivity and creativity. Having a spider as a totem helps you ingeniously weave every step of your destiny. Yeah, I feel like we've been caught in a bit of a spider's web, if I'm honest. I feel like we've been a bit trapped in something that just seems to have had, you know, just so many different, the spider's web's a bit like lots of ladders, isn't it? Loads of different rungs, and you can go that one, or that one, or that one, or that one. But if you're a fly, you're still going to get stuck, kind of thing. So yes, that's interesting. Spider, receptivity. We do need to be receptive, that's for sure. Okay, one more card. One more card. If there is one card that we need, I think I might go back. Shall I? No, let's do this one. If there is one card that we could take something from for this weekend coming, what would it be? These are the answer is simple cards, and they're quite childlike, and I do really feel that these children need to be looked after and protected, particularly, with some of the world's news and some of the things that are happening, some of the darker things that are happening around children. And let's see if this gives us anything for this weekend and the eclipse, anything for us to think about. Connect with your soul family. Oh, that's sweet. Connect with your soul family. So connect with us here at Green Door. And we love to have all our existing friends. I like to call everyone who does yoga with us friends, and it's really lovely actually, this little holding of hands. You may have, we've all got our families, and our family may or may not have the same sort of ideas as us. So if you're somebody who, is quite spiritually minded, then sometimes it's very difficult, because sometimes your partner doesn't really get it, or sometimes, families have a great way of pushing buttons, don't they? So sometimes you can feel a little bit victimized if you're somebody who's looking into some of these things. So it's quite important to have a little soul tribe. Really important to have a little soul tribe. So connecting with people who are like-minded. So if over the weekend you have an opportunity to do a yoga class, or to meditate with friends, or even meditate in your own space, but say to your friend, okay, at 8 o'clock should we meditate together? That's really powerful and a really lovely thing to do. And talk to people who think the same way as you. It's very, very nurturing and very, very nourishing, and we really need to be heard. And if you're someone who is sensitive, you may well be quite quiet and not putting yourself forward. So it's important. So connect with your soul family. So that's it then, guys. That's what we want to be doing over the weekend. Connecting with our soul family, which may be our family as well. I'm going to leave it at that. I hope that's been interesting, and have a lovely weekend. And remember that you are beautiful, and you are pure spirit, and that you are a rainbow warrior. Namaste.